Well, welcome back everybody to Motorsport Manager and the Haas playthrough in the Fire mod. And things are progressing nicely. We're still third then in the championship. Williams have closed that gap to 0 points now. I presume we have third on countback. Red Bull are closing in on 14 points as well. And it's only 19 points to Force India. So it's going to take a pretty good end of the season to hold on to anything but sixth, I feel. Because I still feel our car is a little bit slower than Williams, Red Bull and Force India. But I'm sure we can outrace them. I'm sure we can outthink them. So last time out, Leclerc got 7th place. Some good points back on the board. Magnussen's been struggling a little bit of late, I think. When was the last time Magnussen scored points? 6th place in Vancouver was his last good result. And then he hasn't had any points before that since Dubai. So he's due a good performance, I feel, K-Mag. And he's slipping a little way behind Leclerc. So he needs some strong performances to, you know, state his place in the team. And ensure he's still here next year. I'm still deciding on drivers for next year. We will have a joint discussion, I'm sure, towards the end of it. Yeah, we don't want to lose 50 engine reliability, so of course, Newey, go ahead. Why are you even asking me? It's 475,000. We can spare it, mate. It's fine. It's fine. We can do it. So I think we agreed that the brakes are the last thing we're going to do this season, and then we're going to save up some money and try and get some HQ buildings underway. We have got, to be fair, quite a bit of money in the bank. So I'm wondering if we maybe continue with the development of something. Now, what was our engine vote? Our vote last time. Spec rear wings. So we don't want anything to do with rear wings. So what haven't we built yet? We haven't built handling development, brakes, simulator, or test track. I feel brakes are still a pretty weak point for us, and we need to be able to build great brakes to progress. So I think we're going to go for the R&D facility, get that built, and we should easily make enough money back towards the end of the season. And we'll probably save from now on. Once those brakes are done, we'll save to the end of the season, because at the end of the day, I want to finish, if we can, in the top 3 or 4, but you know, we only need to finish 6th, which we're pretty much guaranteed now. So I think it's better to make sure we've got the money in hand for next year's car, and for some more facilities, because once we built up the HQ, then we can really concentrate on the car for a full season, hopefully. Maybe the season after, but we'll see. We'll see how we get on. Right, we're still trying to get those brakes ready for next time. If we go 15-15, that should still be okay. Let's start concentrating on the performance of some stuff as well. So rear wings. I mean, rear wings will give us a good boost for this season. To be fair, they're nearly maxed out, so we may as well go with the rear wings. And then, of course, next year we'll have spec ones. We've still got 1 slot left. We might as well do the gearbox. Reliability is pretty good across the board elsewhere. If we go for both of those, it's probably not going to get the brakes ready for next time. So we'll leave those off just to make sure we get the new brakes ready for the next race in Spa then. And yeah, we got a pretty strong engine and gearbox, so we should be fairly strong at Spa, I'm hoping. But the other teams in Formula 1 have better race mechanics than we do. Well, do we? How dare you speak ill of Aya Komatsu and Gary Gannon, the legends. It's a money game at the moment, Adrian. Okay, we're getting the infrastructure built up. Just think about how long it took with Red Bull, yeah? It's a 5 or 6 year plan. We've got this. Just make sure you stay here and don't let out of your contract, because we need you. Right, small concerns about finance. Don't worry, Gene. It's all in hand. We're perfectly set up for success. Don't you worry, my friend. Got it. Right. And we are about ready for the race then. We've got 2 sponsorship deals ending this time as well, which will be pretty helpful. to be a nice little influx of money next time out as well, to make up what we've just spent on the brakes facilities. Right, I know what I'm doing. Citrix, we will go once again with 654. And we should be able to get those brakes on the car. Now, we've always preferred K-Mag, just because you guys like him, but I think we've got to start admitting that Leclerc is doing the better job at the moment, so he's going to get the new brakes. Magnussen's got the better of some other parts, so they're both still pretty happy, so it's not going to make too much difference. Right, and as we know anyway, the guy with the better car normally does worse anyway, so it's not really going to matter. So, as per usual, I shall get practice underway and be back with you guys for qualifying. Okay, into qualifying we go then. Pretty straightforward practice session. We're still struggling from the fact that Leclerc and Ferrucci are very low on feedback, so we never really get any qualifying trim in. And it's a shame because Leclerc is obviously doing better than Magnussen, and Ferrucci is only 5 on feedback. Leclerc's 4, Magnussen's like 11. So that's one area we're really struggling with, and it obviously hurts us in qualifying not be able to get any practice in, even though it's a half-an-hour practice session. We're still not able to get any real boosts for qualifying. But, you know, race is always the most important thing. We maybe need to look into what kind of buildings will help our young drivers grow as quickly as possible. I'm still unsure in terms of Ferrucci, whether we let him out and maybe get an IndyCar driver in. But then that's, to be honest, the reserve doesn't matter. They're gaining skills better outside of the reserve driver role in another team. So we'll have to have a think about that towards the end of the season, as well as our driver lineup. But first round of qualifying is in then. It's 29.7 from Magnussen, 29.8 from Leclerc. So both drivers very evenly matched early on, but we'll want to see a bit of an improvement, I would feel, for the second run, as we're looking like we're going to be the lower end of the grid. As those times filter in then, we are 13th and 14th. But we're only a couple of attempts away from the top 10. And as long as we get somewhere near that top 10, then we got a good chance for the race. But hopefully they can find some improvements next time around. And yeah, I was hoping this track would really... We're going out very late here. This is cutting it fine. Hopefully both guys will get round. This is going to be really close, actually. Yeah, I think we might just miss this. We'll have to see. Yeah, I was hoping we'd be really strong here, because we've got a good engine and gearbox. In comparison to the rest of our parts. They're still not the best compared to the rest of the grid. But I was hoping for a much stronger performance here. So hopefully, if we do get across the line, which is going to be so close... Leclerc does, Magnussen does just by a second. They were the last two over the line then, so they should have the best of the conditions. So it's all up to these guys now. They've got the best chance they have of getting into the top 10. Yeah, obviously there is quite a few twisty bits in this circuit. I was hoping the long straights would really benefit us, but well, let's see what the qualifying does. So it'll be Leclerc is the first across the line. And goes 10th, Magnussen goes 13th. So some nice improvements there. And we're about where we expected then. I was a little worried there, I thought they hadn't improved. But Leclerc just beats out Fernando Alonso by 1/100th of a second. And Kevin Magnussen is just 700ths back. Look how close it is between Leclerc, Alonso, Stroll and Magnussen there. And yeah, we can race from there. We can definitely race. And we've got our objective as well, which always helps. Okay, so there's a bit of rain for the race. Should give us the opportunity to make some progress. It's going to dry off a little bit. It's going to get very wet and then dry off. I don't think it's worth putting either car on wets. We may as well stick to the strategies here, I think. And then I would expect maybe some drier weather towards the end of the race, although it looks like it's going to start raining a bit heavily again. So this will be interesting, this one. We've actually gone the wrong way on setup with Leclerc, so let's just switch this back a bit. Just put the speed balance back to where it was. It's probably a bit far, but considering that was good, that should be a big improvement to the setup. Right, intermediates, the only thing we can go for. We're going to go with maximum attack on the fuel because the reliability is good, so I don't really see any problems with that. And we will have maximum attack early on. I did consider maybe putting one of the cars on wet tyres, roll the dice a little bit. But we're in a fairly good position, and let's just try and go with the rest of the grid and rely on our pace then, as we are underway for round number 11. And it's a fairly average start from both drivers. They've at least managed to hold position. Leclerc's going to try and go past Perez up fictional Eau Rouge, and he actually makes some good progress. He might get crowded out here. Nope, he's stayed up in 9th as Perez made a bit of a mistake there. So it's a good start from Leclerc. Magnussen's lost a few positions, which won't help out too much. It looks like it's going to be Inter's most of the race, so it's going to be about getting these tyres as far as we can. So I don't think the rain is going to let up, so if we're going to put dry tyres on, it's going to be at the final stint, so it's going to be at least 2 stints on the Inters. Leclerc coming under some pressure now as people start to use their opening lap boost. Of course, the energy recovery system we've gone for this year is one that recovers much quicker, but we don't get any opening charge on the first lap, so we do lose out a bit every race from that. Leclerc lost 3 or 4 positions there, and Magnussen lost another couple, so it's not looking great, but we know this is all about the long game. Ferrari and Mercedes are miles out there, but everyone else is fair game, and if we get the strategy right, then points are definitely on offer here. Pace isn't looking too bad. Verstappen sort of holding this group up, surprisingly. And Bottas has just got past Verstappen, so we'll no doubt start pulling away from the young Red Bull driver. So we'll keep the engine turned up for the moment. We'll save a bit of fuel maybe towards the end of the stint. But Leclerc holding his own. He's got Alonso ahead of him. And then the guys who really need to fight, Verstappen, our Perez, Ocon and Ricciardo, are all scoring heavily at the moment. So we need both cars in the points really to try and hold on to 3rd, 4th or 5th in the championship. But we just seem to lack that little bit of pace in comparison, so it'll have to be done on strategy. So the rain started to come down very heavily now. I wonder if any of the AI will go in for the wet tyres. It'd be a bit stupid to do so, but I wouldn't put it past them, let's put it that way. Unfortunately, I just don't think that rain will stay for long enough to make it worth switching on to the wet tyres, even rolling the dice with someone like Magnussen. We needed to make that call a couple of laps ago. So even though it's wet, I don't think we're going to see much changeable conditions. It might be intermediates for the entire race here, in which case it doesn't give us much opportunity to do anything different on strategy. The tyres should do 15-17 laps, so this should be a one-stop race. Again, leaves us absolutely zero choice on strategy. So just going to have to rely on the pace of the cars, which isn't great at the moment. Right, let's use this boost from Leclerc and see if he can pick up a couple of places up a Rouge and down the long straight. He's just gone. Oh, he did manage to get past Alonso. I thought he was going to get past Ricciardo there for a minute, but couldn't quite manage it. That's him back up into P10. Magnussen really struggling with his pace here. He's down in the 44s, Leclerc up in the 42s. So a big pace difference between them. And Magnussen's going to have to start trying to get a move on here if he wants anything out of this race. Tyre temperature's starting to get a bit low. That's probably because of the wet weather. Because of the wet weather comparison to Inter's. So I don't think we'll start pushing just yet. Those tyre temperatures should come back up. That boost from Magnussen's got him onto the back of Van Dorn, but only that. It's not really allowed him to make any kind of progress, and Leclerc has actually lost out to Alonso again, so the pace is not looking good here. And yeah, I'm starting to struggle to see how we can get anything out of this race. We'll see. Maybe a chance of doing an undercut or going a bit longer and making sure we get some fresh tyres at the end to attack with. I think it might be time to start pushing because those temperatures aren't coming back up as I'd like. I think we'll go to medium fuel, get that fuel saving out of the way now so that we can be aggressive in the second stint. But yeah, I think this is just what's going to happen if we're going to accept that we don't want to put any new parts on the car for the rest of the season. It's going to be very much a case of scoring points when we can, but most likely just trying to hold on to whatever position we can in the championship. Because I think in all likelihood we have the 6th quickest car, and that's probably where we should finish. But we'll have to wait and see. Force India got good points here. Once again, Stroll nowhere. Our scoring heavily. It really is a superstar, that little kid. And Ricciardo and Verstappen scoring heavily for Red Bull at the moment as well. So it's not looking good for us. But Leclerc's where he needs to be if he wants some points. He's in a position that he can attack, and he can see all the points playing positions within 2 or 3 seconds of him. He's coming under pressure a bit from Kielwitz now in the Renault. Tyre temperature's still not coming back up. It's almost dry weather, but it's not. Right, it's going to dry out right at the end, so I'm going to jump early here and go on the intermediates. I don't want to use this cheat, but I know we can. No, we're gonna hold strong. We're not going to use the recharge because I know it's cheating, essentially, because it, as we discussed before, it doesn't break. So you can recharge every single time you pit 100% without any kind of risk, which is a little bit cheatsy. Right, let's put the intermediates on for Magnussen here as well. The thinking here is that it's going to dry out about lap 24-25, and these tyres should be able to go until that point. So we may as well try and get an undercut here and make some progress. So let's turn the engine back up. And let's push for now, although we'll have to go back down to neutral pretty quickly, I feel. If we want to make the tyres last until the dry weather. Right, one more car in the pits, Gasly, along with Magnussen. So Magnussen should get a good undercut here as well. As Leclerc sails on by. So Leclerc came back out ahead of Gasly. So well, he was ahead of him anyway, to be fair. So it's not a great sign of the undercut, but hopefully this will work out well for Magnussen once everybody comes into the pits. And hopefully Magnussen can make up some ground as well. Although Magnussen's race pace has not looked great, in all honesty. Right, some more cars in the pits now. Leclerc does jump Kielwitz quite nicely then, so that suggests that he might get a nice undercut here on the likes of Perez, Ricciardo, Alonso and Ocon, and has a good chance of getting into the points when these stops shake themselves out. But they will be on fresh tyres, and I do want to start backing off to let these temperatures come back under control as soon as possible, but we need to wait till everyone's stopped first. Right, we've got Ricciardo, Ocon and Kvyat in now. Leclerc almost jumps Ricciardo, but he's jumped Ocon. So, definitely progress made, and we've still got Alonso, Perez and Auer to come in. So, I feel we could be in a good 7th or 8th place when these stops shake themselves out. Right, let's... yeah, we're stuck up behind Ricciardo anyway. Let's go back to neutral on both cars and get these tyre temperatures back under control, because they still need to last about another 7 or 8 laps, these tyres, to go on to the dries. Right, final stops being made now. That puts Leclerc up into 9th then. Ahead of Kielwitz, Alonso and Ocon. Auer has come back out ahead. But we've got a good chance of jumping Perez as well here with Leclerc. But as I say, it's the tyres that are the worry, because he's already down to 68% and these guys have got brand new tyres on. So he's gonna have to fight really hard here to hold on to these positions until the dry weather. Magnussen, even with the undercut, is still back down in 17th. He's showing absolutely zero pace today. Let's use this boost down the straight, see if we can get back ahead of Stroll. We cannot. Great. Right, let's concentrate on Leclerc, because I don't think there's much Magnussen can do here apart from a perfect switch onto dry tyres, which might jump him a few positions, but Leclerc is the one that's going to, once again, going to score points if anyone is. And to be fair, he's holding his ground. Alonso's not exactly cruising up to the back of them. Although Kielwitz has just got past Alonso, I think. So, he could become under a bit more pressure now. We've got a lot of boost in the tank though, so we can defend pretty robustly if we need to. Right, we're just going to save a little bit more fuel so that we can be aggressive on the final stint. And maybe even use overtake a little bit if we need to. The car's holding up well in both cases, so we should be able to push pretty hard on the final stint, especially considering it's only going to be 7 or 8 laps and the super softs are 10 to 12, so we should be able to push them right to the flag. Right, let's use a bit of boost from Leclerc here, just to give him some distance between himself and Kielwitz. And he could potentially still challenge, maybe not Auer, but Perez and Ricciardo. I mean, all three of them, in fairness, are in range, and if we can get the undercut working on those three, he could find himself in 6th or 7th for the final part of the race. So we might try and make quite an early jump onto dries here to try and steal a march on them. Just haven't got too far to go, to be fair, so I think we can probably push again now. Right, Magnussen, let's see if we can get him past anybody. He's past Stroll at least. He's coming under pressure again. Leclerc, I think we're going to use his boost down the straight again to try and get him back out of range of Kielwitz. The very worst here, I think we can take 9th, but I would hope we can go forward a bit with Leclerc in the final stint of the race. So let's get the fuel saving done now, and then we'll be able to push easily for the final part of the race. Right, Magnussen, his boost wasn't even enough to get past Van Dorn. To be fair, Van Dorn is dropping off the rest of the grid, the rest of the field, so if we can get Magnussen past Van Dorn, we might have a chance of attacking Hulkenberg, Gasly and Kvyat and Alonso in the final part of the race, but he just doesn't have the pace, and he's actually just battling with Stroll now to try and even hold on to 17th. Not great, is it? Maybe we jump really early with Magnussen and see if we can make the tyres work. We're going to have to do it on separate laps anyway, so maybe let's go soft tyres for Magnussen and just see if we can do anything with him. I think the optimal lap is going to be the next time around, so I want to save that for Leclerc, although to be fair, the gap between the pair of them, 12 seconds, they can probably both pit on the same lap. But let's bring Leclerc in this time around. Super soft should be okay until the end, and let's see what he can do. Right, Magnussen back out on the soft tyres. Let's start to use some of that fuel now and see if he can get an undercut on those guys around him. Similar thing with Leclerc, his tyres are just about to drop off and then he would be in real danger of becoming prey for Kielwitz, Ocon and Alonso. I feel that's more the priority from Leclerc, is defending from those guys, but if we can go forward with an undercut, we may as well try and make it work. Right, soft tyre should be fine for Magnussen to the end, so we can probably push with him. Leclerc, we will push for no more than is necessary until everybody else stops. Perez is out. That's going to gain us a place for Leclerc and take a few points off Force India then. Don't think we're going to get a safety car. I hope not, because that could hurt us pretty bad at this point. Right, Magnussen, we probably do need to drop those temperatures off a bit. Same with Leclerc. Everybody is in this lap then. Auer is back out comfortably ahead, but he's going to jump the rest of them. And that's Leclerc back into 9th with Alonso and Ricciardo still to stop. So Leclerc in the driving seat here. And he really needs to jump Ricciardo if he can. It's going to be tough. Kiewitz is still right on our tail, which again is a worry of running out of tyres at the end. So I think I am going to just conserve for a minute and try and take that tyre life back off. There is Ricciardo. Oh, Leclerc couldn't quite make it work. He wasn't brave enough to go around the outside of Eau Rouge. And he finds himself back in 8th then. So obviously that's with Perez dropping out. So at the moment we're outscoring Force India. We're losing points to Williams and Red Bull. But apart from that, we look okay at the moment. We can probably push with Magnussen considering the tyre life he's got left. I just want to get tyres under control for Leclerc and then he can probably push till the end of the race. Magnussen, I mean, he's on the soft tyres. He's actually, well, that lap was half a second slower, but the last lap before that, he actually lapped the same as Leclerc. But this grid is so tight that he's just been stuck in a deadly battle with Stroll and Van Dorn for the rest of the race, and he's now dropping away a bit from Stroll. Soft tyres probably weren't the best bet for the end of the race. And they're not, I mean, he did stop a lap earlier than Leclerc, but they're not exactly holding up any better. Right, let's go to neutral now. Hold these temperatures and then we can push right at the end. Ricciardo is only 2 seconds down the road. So if Leclerc can start to make some progress. Ricciardo's on the soft tyres as well. So let's see if Leclerc can start bringing that gap down. I really want to push on these tyres. I think we will start pushing now. And I think we'll use this boost down the straight to try and close that gap even more to Ricciardo. It's down to 2.1. It's going to be close, and I think Ricciardo will probably start pulling away again because of the extra tyre life of the softs, but we'll find out. I think Leclerc is pretty safe from behind now, so we may as well go pretty aggressive and try and catch Ricciardo if we can. If we could beat one Red Bull, that would be a stunning result from Leclerc. That gap staying around 1.6 now. Magnussen's going to use his boost down the straight, but he's miles out of it, let's be honest. Yeah, that gap's starting to go back up now, as I expected it to, really. Problem is those soft tyres, we sort of run out of, super softs, we sort of run out of them now. And Ricciardo's still got plenty of life in those soft tyres, so it was never, you know, we maybe would have had one chance to get past, but we weren't quite close enough to do so. So we'll take 8th place, I think. Just make sure Leclerc doesn't run out of rubber on the final lap, so he doesn't come under a threat from behind. Magnussen, we're just literally going for it. I don't know what you can do about the guys in front. We maybe could have managed this race a bit better, but it was, at the end of the day, it was pretty clear that Magnussen didn't have the pace for points here, and with the strategy being fairly straightforward, 2-stop race, couldn't really have stopped any other times or done any different strategies to the ones we've done. Yeah, there was no chance of Magnussen getting any points. He's actually got himself up to 16th, but you know, if you're P11th or P20, it really doesn't matter. And Leclerc is going to come across the line in 8th then. He dropped off dramatically from Ricciardo in the later stages. But considering where our car is, I'm pretty happy with that. We've only lost a few points to Williams. They will move ahead of us in the championship. Red Bull will be pretty close now. But I think Force India, we have a genuine chance of beating them on pace and points. So that 5th place might still be up for grabs. But I'm happy where that race was. The pace wasn't there with the car. And I think Leclerc really pulled it out of the bag. And the undercuts worked beautifully today. And just luckily didn't run out of rubber at the end of any of those stints. But you can see we stopped considerably earlier than most people consistently. Didn't work out too well for Magnussen. He actually got past Van Dorn at the end. So 15th, you know, it's an okay result from him. It's not spectacular. But Leclerc saved our bacon there and got some points in the bag then. And he's really turning into a little superstar, is Charles. We'll take that. 4 points. So Red Bull will be almost past us now. Leclerc stays 7th in the championship then. Verstappen goes past Magnussen for 9th. If we can keep K-Mag in the top 10, I think that's a pretty strong season still from the Dane, considering where our car is. And it means that Williams do go 4 points ahead of us. Red Bull close right up to just 2 points behind now. And it's going to be incredibly difficult to beat those two. But 5th is definitely on the cards. We extend the gap to Force India then to 24 points. 19 plus 4 is 23 points. Quick maths. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And to be fair, if it wasn't for Auer, we'd probably be ahead of Williams as well. He's been stunning. To even more so than Leclerc, to be fair, this season. He's been the real surprise of the grid. I'm sure we'll be getting a lot of Driver of the Year awards at the end of the year. But we'll take that. Gene's still happy. We were 5th fastest team. And I think that's where we've been most of the season. And I think 5th is probably the position we'll finish. But you never know. If we get a couple of lucky results, we could keep up with Williams and Red Bull. We'll have to wait and see. So that's going to be it for this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. As always, keep your help and advice coming. Let me know what you think about building the brakes facility, and if there's anything else you think we should try and build before the end of the season, or whether we should save the money, as I think, maybe between now and the end of the year. Still a long way to go, to be fair. Hopefully it won't hurt us too much not developing the car anymore, but I feel the headquarters are something that once we get in place, it will go hand in hand with getting the car up in performance. So I feel it's the right thing to do for the moment. And we're making so much money at the moment, we can afford to build a few buildings in season as well, which is a nice luxury to have. Right, as always then, if you did enjoy the video, don't hit that like button. You can subscribe if you're new as well and go back and watch the rest of the series. Hopefully these should be a bit more regular than they've been recently. Still not promising quite 2 episodes a week, but there might be 2 episodes this week. We'll have to wait and see. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.